And we wish you a very, very warm aloha on this Sunday morning. Thank you very much for being with us for this edition of Community Matters, a public service program produced and presented by this Clear Channel radio station. Aloha, folks. We're already in the month of December. Can you believe it? Goodness gracious. Hey, listen, today we have two great guests joining us for this edition of Community Matters. Leading us off and thoroughly enthused to hear the story of Devin Nakasone, who is in studio with us today. And Devin with Prayers on Wings, and can't wait to hear Devin's story and a whole lot more. First of all, Devin, thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hope you're doing well on this. How are the holidays treating you so far?
Busy.
I know.
Yeah, just trying to find the time and figure out when the holiday is and if I'm on that day.
Exactly. I don't know about you. 2012 snuck up on me. I'm looking around going, are you kidding me already?
Yes, actually, it's been the same with me. But we've actually had that time on the side to actually count our blessings.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And I believe there's many more coming our way in the new year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Love that, and so much more. Devin, would you mind just start at the very beginning for us? You mind? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I can do that. In the very beginning, wow, goes back to 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Why Prayers on Wings was started was because of this story. Back in 1984, I was 11 and a half years old. I was diagnosed with leukemia. And what made my case unique was I was 98% leukemic. So if you can imagine the severity with that. The good thing about my leukemia is at that time you had four different types of leukemia you could have. If you had to have it, I had the best one. So that made my chances a little bit better. They immediately started me on my chemo.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed by the next week I took another test. I was cancer-free. So
No kidding.
Yeah, and I was cancer-free during my 4 years of chemo. I never had a relapse. No real big complications. So that's what that was about. But during the time of chemo, I am an only child, and I have the best parents in the world. God bless my father; he's no longer here. But
Mm-hmm.
at that time, they were so strong and supportive. My mom learned to be a nurse. My dad did everything. He was self-employed. He stopped working to be able to take me to the doctors and wait for test results. Some of them took 6 to 8 hours waiting in a doctor's office.
Right.
And my mom didn't drive, so he would be the only one. So if you can imagine all of this going on, I watched my family literally suffer financially. I watched my mom and dad fight a lot. And at this time, I went through the feelings of I wish I wasn't born. I wish there was a way that I could change it, and I couldn't. So all of this built up was very bad energy, and I used to cry to a rubber duck.
Mm-hmm.
A rubber duck, the ones you find in the store, was my best friend. So I used to cry to it. I used to sing to it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sleep with it in bed and all of that, and it became my best friend because
Right.
I was in the hospital, out of the hospital, kept at home. I lost all my friends. Nobody wanted to play with me because either they thought they would catch it or they would hurt me. So I didn't have any friends at that time.
Right.
And my teenage years was very hard. So this rubber duck was my best friend. So how it went on was all of this. I never had this proper communication with my parents or with anyone. Everybody's focus was getting me to the next day physically, making sure I was alive physically. But nobody knew I was dying inside, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
At 11, I just knew what life and death was, and I didn't want to be on the other side.
It's amazing because at this age, my son is 11.
Okay.
So I'm having this type of empathetic association with you as you're telling your story. At 11, to try and fathom what really is before you, and you just described it as saying it's an acute awareness of life and death.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mention the dynamic change in the family, that it's a very profound impact on families, immediate and extended, but especially under in the immediate family under one roof. Do you have any siblings by any chance?
No, I don't.
That's right,
Only child.
Right.
But what made it hard was, let's even go deeper than that. Before my leukemia, 3 years prior to me getting sick, we watched my grandmother pass away from leukemia.
Oh my.
So, and she had a long road. She battled it for like 10 years.
Wow.
And she had the worst one.
Mm-hmm.
So we literally, as a family, my dad's side, we watched her wither to
Right.
really nothing. So when I got my case,
And
it
there
was
you go.
So it's not just my mom and dad.
Right.
It was my whole family.
Right. Right.
To watch that again and to see the fear in their eyes. And even at 11, when you look into someone's eyes and you see what they're afraid of, you fear for yourself too.
Sure.
Because, right. So
Sure.
I sensed that. I couldn't put it into words. I couldn't describe it to anybody, but I felt it. And that's another thing, that the worry and all that. Why am I doing all of this? Am I even going to be alive tomorrow? Watching my new friends, which are other patients that had the same thing I had,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, I learned the hard way what a layer on a picture was. I didn't know at 11.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was his birthday or something.
Right.
And then I would ask my doctor, "Why is it his birthday?" "Oh no, he passed away 2 weeks ago."
I cut out.
So I'm in the doctor's office wondering, when is it my time, or is it going to be tomorrow, or why am I going through all this pain if I'm not going to be here? Shouldn't
Right.
it just end now?
This is 11, folks.
This is 11. Yes.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Devin Nakasone is in our studio today with Prayers on Wings, and we're learning more about Devin and all of this. When we left off, our conversation was a feeling of guilt,
Yes.
of questioning, of regret, remorse, or all of this.
All of the bad things.
What a difficult road to be on.
Yes. Yes, it was. It was a difficult road, and if you can imagine how I'm talking to you was not what I was doing. That's actually
Mm-hmm.
letting it out. I was talking to a toy
Mm-hmm.
that never cried with me, never laughed with me, never said I love you, never did anything. So that's what I was doing. So I had all of these feelings inside me, and it didn't do me any good. This is why I started Prayers on Wings. And the
Mm-hmm.
original mission of Prayers on Wings throughout this whole time, this is 11. I'm 39 today,
Mm-hmm.
and healthy. So in case
Amen.
anyone's wondering, so
Right.
so all the way back then till now, I wanted to do a mission, and the original mission was to give each sick child a toy rubber duck, and then it changed. It changed really overnight. One night it just hit me. I collect rubber ducks on the side, and I had this one kit from Melissa and Doug, and it was a paint your own rubber duck kit. It comes with a white duck and a painting kit inside with the paint and the brush and all of that, and you can decorate it however you want. So I said to myself, it would be really cool if we use this duck where the sick child and the parent or whoever they wanted to, whether it be a sibling or a grandparent, paint the duck with the child and exchange it. And they paint it for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So when they exchange it, when we have a little ceremony, we exchange the ducks, and then we make that promise that they will have that open communication. And the great thing about today that wasn't back then is there wasn't a lot of social workers, there wasn't a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists and all of that, and it was such a brand new childhood disease at that time that was just becoming more public. There wasn't all this help. There was no such thing as a fundraiser. There was no such thing as this awareness and communities growing together. And today it's better. I believe it's better.
Mm-hmm.
I will never be able to go through this mission with the rubber duck. So this is actually part of my healing.
Right.
Because I still have open wounds till today.
I would imagine. Talking with Devin Nakasone. Devin, take us back just a little bit when you mentioned before, we have our story with you at the age of 11. At what point did you make this conscious decision that this was a mission that you wanted to undertake and identified it to be an actual mission? Was it as a youngster? Was it after teenage years? Or was there a point where you recall where you went, yes, this is what and how I'd like to do this?
Wow, that's a really good question, Rick. Let me see. Throughout my whole life, after chemo, I always knew that I wanted to give back. The question was, why am I here?
Right.
Why did God save me
Mm-hmm.
and not anyone else? You know, and I always questioned that road. And during my life after chemo was very hard. We don't have to go into that today, but life after chemo is very hard. And I guess to answer your question fairly, it would probably be maybe in my 30s
Mm.
where I said, I wanna give back. I don't know how,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna work to this road. Probably when I became more stable in my life, meaning I knew, okay, this is a job that I can do, or this is the job I want to go for, and I also do music, so where I was comfortable with the music, so where my passion was coming back out for life, I would say, which would probably be in the 30s. So when the passion came out back for life and understanding what I needed to do to heal, I was actually able to give back.
Right.
So,
I understand. Prayers on Wings, the name was derived. Was it associated with the duck or the wings or?
Yeah, actually, it all came pretty much overnight.
Love it. All right.
Yeah, it came overnight. With Prayers on Wings was, we knew we were going to use a duck, and I say we because Prayers on Wings is actually there's three in the core, which is Charlene Aoki and Kristen Kekoa and myself. So we make that core. And Prayers on Wings came up because, it's really self-explanatory. Prayers on Wings, and our mission is building bridges of communication one feather at a time. All of that just came out like that. And it fit. It fit. It works today. I don't think that'll ever change, which is a good thing. And when people read the mission and they see the quote of what our hook is, they do get curious. And the story is easy to tell because I've lived it.
Right.
So it's just a matter of if they got the time to hear it. Most people make the time, so that's really a blessing right there too.
Prayers on Wings, of course. Can you talk a little bit? We're talking with Devin Nakasone, of course, of Prayers on Wings in our first segment of this edition of Community Matters, public service program produced and presented by this Clear Channel radio station. Can you share a little bit about faith and the essential role that faith plays in your life? And for those who may not share a similar faith or be faithful, can you relate to them what the impact has been for you, that in hopes of perhaps others may either consider or search out faith for themselves?
Yeah, as far as the term faith goes, the word faith, at 11, it was just a word. My parents never hid anything from me, so whatever medications I was going to take, it was all listed on this big piece of paper, which was actually a book, I should say, of all the medications I would take. And probably faith would be when you read that book and you see a medication that you can't pronounce, and then towards the end it says side effect, 2% to 8%, heart may stop beating, may cause death. And you're wondering, why am I taking this if it's going to kill me anyway? And the doctors can't explain what makes that 8% real, or it's just chance, And faith would be every time you pump this new medicine in you, thinking that it's going to do good, but it was to kill all my cells. So then again, from there, faith would be, okay, I have faith that my cells would be normal, not all white, and faith was something that I couldn't see, and something that I lived through each experience. And if there's anyone going through any kind of crisis, and it doesn't have to be leukemia or chemotherapy, and crisis is just in general, and that's actually what Prayers on Wings actually evolved to. It doesn't just deal with critically ill children. It's to deal with anyone that's going through any kind of hard time, because crisis is defined in the person, and no hard time is less than another person's hard time. So faith is actually just believing that everything will be okay and nothing is gone, nothing you're going through is for nothing. You know, anything you go through is never for nothing, and there is a reason, and there's a reason after you go off this earth to whichever is just waiting for that outcome. So to maybe answer your question, and which is a really difficult question to put in a answer to put into words, Rick, is faith is just hanging on to see what the outcome is. You know, in a positive way. So that's actually something no one's asked me before. So I'd like to thank you for that question. That's a really good one. Yeah. But I guess that would be the best way I could explain it today. Yeah.
You mentioned you have a core of folks.
Yes.
Can you help us in some ways, if we can assist in any way, if folks who are listening right now that would like to assist you in the work that you're doing and also with what you hope to accomplish, how would you recommend folks do that?
Well, they can, first of all, you know, everyone's on Facebook, so they can like our page. You know, it's Prayers on Wings.
Okay.
You know, so they can like our page. We also have a website, which is www.prayersonwings.webs.com. So you hear all the S's there, right? So, if anybody does, feel free to donate. But, you know, before you do, I would really love it if you read the story, got the message. Anybody that does donate, whether it be a penny or $1 or even $1 million, whichever it may be, I would want them to understand the mission and where it came from. And before even doing that, ask themselves if they know anybody that is going through something similar, where they could benefit, because that's what we're here for.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So we're going for the longevity and to reach as many people as we can. But like we said, one feather at a time.
Excellent. We're going to learn more and repeat more of the information on how you can contact Devin and be involved with Prayers on Wings. I want to jump back just a little bit, if that's all right. Music. Where was your first exposure? Where was the click? When did the switch go on? Was there a moment that you remember, or what made you gravitate toward music?
Well, if you want to talk about music, I always loved music from as far back as I can remember.
Yeah.
Music became important to me when it was a freedom of expression, Rick. I used to make up my own songs in the bathtub and sing it to my duck.
Yeah.
And the songs that I used to make up was about what I was feeling through the day. And it was my release. It actually eased a lot of pain. I used to listen to a lot of the love songs, I probably listened to everything. And everything, even the angry kind of music. We don't have to label it, right? But even the angry kind of music,
right.
because that actually helped me get out a lot of my fears and frustrations as well. But music has played a very, very big part in my life, because it's actually letting me get out there and reach people to where there's two drivers in the vehicle, which is just to do good, you know. So if music isn't driving me, then the foundation is driving me, and one's in the the passenger seat at all times.
Right.
So it's actually been able to even do good for me till today. But my first exposure live would probably be at a little bar in Waimalu called Kabuki. They had karaoke there.
Nice.
And I wasn't of age yet, but they used to let me come in and sing, so that was cool. And been the Old Beacons, if you can remember that. Yeah. So, and the first live band that I ever been on stage, and that was the light switch right there.
That was
for live music, was at a place called the Captain's Table, which is the old Holiday Inn.
Oh yeah, sure.
And the band, of course, we all know, if anybody's around my age, was the band called Honolulu.
Wow.
So yeah, those are my boys, and they gave me that first taste of live music, and after that, I knew I wanted to do that.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Do you play instruments as well?
No, I just sing. Yeah.
Hey, it's the ultimate instrument.
Sing and dance, right?
Exactly. Are you performing today? And is there music you mentioned associated with POW as well?
Yeah, well, we're going to get into that. You got another hour?
Oh, we could. I could call ahead.
No, long story short, Rick, I'm with 3 bands right now, and that's Chaos, Excite, and still deciding on a name, but it's the musicians from the Elements.
Wow.
So the Elements, we do a lot of the convention gigs and stuff like that. Excite is pretty much the same thing, and Chaos would be a lot of the bar gigs, such as we go anywhere from Shays to Gordon Biersch. So from the west side to town, we try and cover all of that. We also go into a place we like to call home, called King's Corner. Yeah, so King's Corner, and there's a holiday bash coming up too that's open to the public on the 21st, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. We got two bands featured that night. We're jamming with True Flow, so that should be pretty cool. So the convention gigs, we got one lined up. The big one we got lined up is New Year's Eve, playing with the Elements, the musicians from the Elements, with my sister Anna Marie and Charlene Aoki. So we'll be on the Royal Hawaiian, the lawn,
sure,
celebrating New Year's Eve and bringing in.
Oh, great place to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
so can't wait for that one. And Prayers on Wings, the jam band. Wow. To answer your second question, what that's all about is we wanted music to really become the heart of a lot of things, and because we're associated with a lot of the musicians today, from the new musicians today, from the ones back then that are still playing, we wanted to bring it all together. Because like I said earlier, everybody's going through some kind of crisis or knows someone that's going through some kind of crisis, and we got 115 musicians, Hawaii's best musicians, together that can play. We can make any band happen, and we got 115 of Hawaii's best that all came together to do one mission, which is to whatever it may be at that time. And knock on wood, God bless you, but hopefully you don't need it. But we can go out there and provide entertainment for fundraisers or anything, any great cause we will do. We just had a jam band opening at Aloha Beer, and there was music all the way from 3 to 10 nonstop. Just going one after another.
It's like Kanakapila on steroids. It's
pretty much. But
I love that.
But you had your structure too.
Yeah.
You did have the bands that were there, and then we brought up singers that wasn't normally with that combination. So it was just this mix and match thing all day. And they can go check us out online and see who those musicians are. If they go to the webs.com site that I said earlier, they can see the whole roster of musicians. And like I said, that musician list is actually growing every day. So yeah, feel free to check out the site anytime.
Love that.
So that's what that Prayers on Wings jam band is all about.
Devin Nakasone is in our studio. We have just about 3 or 4 minutes left, and his story is tremendously compelling. We'll share with you website addresses and email, Facebook, and other contact before we go. Just to put a kind of a bow on our conversation today, Devin, if you can for us, as we've looked a little bit back to where we are today, but I'd like you to look forward for us, if you wouldn't mind, with your desire for the accomplishments and contribution that Prayers on Wings will be able to affect in our community. What would you like to see in the coming years?
In the coming years, as I said earlier, life after chemo was the hard part. And that's probably with any other crisis out there. It's how you deal with life after. If you were able to heal, because if you're able to heal, you're able to move on. And if you're not, I mean, how you handle your crisis is what determines what goes on in the future. And I guess what I'm actually wanting to see is people going through life with each other. Hawaii is very tight, and we're called the Aloha State for a reason. And I don't know how it is in the mainland because I've never lived there. But as far as my home, which is here, I would love to see that word expressed to its true meaning, which is to move forward together in my eyes. And the only way you can do that, in my opinion, is with proper communication. With proper communication, you can express love, whether it be by body language or whether it be by words, or whether you can actually tell a person's soul in their eyes. And whichever it may be, because you can't stop crisis. Hard times will always come. So it's just how you handle it. So I would like to see everybody move forward as one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the ultimate goal of Prayers on Wings. But like I said, one feather at a time. So
Amen.
we just start with a family and a family.
Love all of that. Devin, before we go, let's go through the roster of contact information, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Where folks can learn more, go right ahead.
You can like us on Facebook as Prayers on Wings. Check that out. And our website is www.prayersonwings.webs.com.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just check that out. Read it. There's a whole story there for you. And yeah, I'd like to thank all your listeners out there, and you, Rick, and Brother Jimmy, for giving us that time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, listen, we've enjoyed it. We wish you all the best, and God bless all that you're doing, and we hope to see you again, Devin.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Devin Nakasone, Prayers on Wings, joining us for this first part of this edition of Community Matters. We'll come back with more right after this. We'll come back with more right after this. We'll come back with more right after this. We'll come back with more.